The morning sun cast long shadows across the rocky terrain as 16-year-old Alexios approached the gates of Sparta, his heart pounding like the drums of war he'd heard so much about. The dust beneath his sandals felt different here, coarser, as if the very earth had been hardened by centuries of discipline and sacrifice. His father's words echoed in his mind. "Learn their ways, boy, but speak of this to no one." What he was about to discover would change everything he thought he knew about the legendary warrior society, and if you're curious about these hidden truths that have been buried for centuries, you'll want to stay with us on this journey. The massive bronze gates groaned open, revealing a city unlike any other in the Greek world. Where Athens celebrated beauty and philosophy, Sparta worshipped strength and endurance. The very architecture seemed to flex its muscles. Low, practical buildings that hugged the earth like crouching warriors, their stone walls scarred by decades of training exercises. "You must be the Athenian boy," came a gravelly voice behind him. Alexios spun around to face a man whose body told the story of 1,000 battles. Lysander stood nearly 7 feet tall, his torso a map of scars that caught the morning light like silver rivers. His arms were massive, each muscle defined with the precision of a sculptor's masterpiece. Yet his eyes held something unexpected, a deep, haunting sadness. "Your father and I fought together at Marathon," Lysander said, his voice softening slightly. "He saved my life that day, which is why I agreed to show you our ways. But understand this, boy, what you will see here cannot be unseen. The knowledge I'm about to share with you has been kept from the outside world for good reason." They walked deeper into the city, past training grounds where boys no older than 7 practiced with wooden swords, their small bodies already showing the hard lines of developing muscle. The sound of their training was rhythmic, almost hypnotic. The clash of wood on wood, the sharp commands of instructors, the controlled breathing of children learning to endure pain without crying out. "Tell me," Lysander said as they paused beside a fountain carved from black marble, "what do you know about our selection process for newborns?" Alexios had prepared for this question. "I know that weak babies are taken to Mount Taygetus and left to die. It's said to strengthen the bloodline, to ensure only the strongest survive to become warriors." Lysander's laugh was bitter, like the sound of breaking pottery. "Ah, the stories that reach Athens. They're not entirely wrong, but they miss the deeper truth. The truth that would make even the bravest Athenian philosopher question everything he believes about human nature and divine will." The older warrior led him to a narrow alleyway between 2 training facilities. Here, away from prying eyes, he pulled aside a heavy wool curtain to reveal a small shrine. Inside, dozens of clay figurines lined the shelves, tiny representations of infants, each one carefully crafted and painted. Some were perfect miniatures, but others bore visible deformities, twisted limbs, faces marked by birth defects. "Each of these represents a child brought before the Council of Elders," Lysander explained, his massive hands surprisingly gentle as he lifted one of the figurines. "But the mountain, young Athenian, was not their only destination. What I'm about to show you will reveal secrets that have shaped not just Sparta, but the very understanding of what it means to be human." They left the shrine and approached a circular building built from white stone that seemed to glow in the harsh daylight, with no windows visible from street level. The only entrance was a heavy wooden door bound with iron, marked with symbols that predated any writing system Alexios recognized. "This is where the real selection process takes place," Lysander said, placing his scarred hand on the door. "What you thought you knew about Mount Taygetus and exposed infants, that's the story we tell outsiders. The simple truth that hides a far more complex reality." As the heavy door swung open, a cool draft emerged carrying scents of herbs, incense, and something medicinal. The interior curved downward in a spiral, its walls carved with ancient symbols, some appearing to be mathematical calculations, others resembling star charts or anatomical diagrams. They descended into a circular chamber carved from bedrock, its domed ceiling disappearing into shadows above. Oil lamps cast dancing light across walls covered in inscriptions not just in Greek, but symbols that seemed far older. At the center stood a raised platform of polished obsidian, surrounded by instruments unlike anything Alexios had ever seen. Bronze devices with multiple hinged joints, measuring tools with markings too small to read, and most disturbing, small masks made from precious metals, each shaped to fit over an infant's face. The masks test breathing capacity, Lysander explained, noting Alexios's horrified expression. We discovered centuries ago that the strength of a warrior can be predicted not just by obvious physical attributes, but by subtle measurements that only become apparent through careful testing. Lung capacity, heart rhythm, even electrical impulses that travel through the nervous system. Alexios felt his knees weaken. Electrical impulses? How could you possibly? Ancient knowledge, preserved from civilizations that came before. Lysander interrupted. We learned these techniques during the Persian Wars, when strange alliances were necessary for survival. He led Alexios to a series of shallow pools carved into the floor, each filled with water of different colors, some clear, others tinted with dissolved minerals. Steam rose from several, suggesting underground heating. The pools test different aspects of infant vitality, Lysander explained. Temperature regulation, blood purity, nervous system responses. The methodology is sophisticated beyond what most Greek cities could imagine. And those who fail these tests? Alexios asked, though he dreaded the answer. Lysander's expression grew somber. That's where the real secret lies. The children who fail the initial assessment are not taken to Mount Taygetus to die of exposure. That story serves as a merciful fiction that protects both the children and their families from a more complex truth. He led Alexios to smaller rooms adjoining the main chamber. The first was lined with sleeping alcoves sized for infants, soft woolen blankets in each space, the air smelling of milk and healing herbs. Children who show physical deformities but demonstrate other forms of vitality are brought here, Lysander explained. They are raised by temple priestesses, trained in skills that complement our warrior society, but don't require physical perfection. Some become our most valued scribes, others master metalwork or siege engineering. A few even develop abilities that border on the prophetic. The next room contained what could only be described as a sophisticated medical facility, stone tables with drainage channels, shelves lined with surgical instruments, and articulated bronze figures that appeared to be anatomical models with removable parts showing internal organ systems. Children who show internal defects, heart irregularities, breathing difficulties, organ malformations, are brought here for corrective intervention, Lysander said quietly. We learned these techniques from healers in Eastern lands, methods that can sometimes repair what others consider irreparable. The implications staggered Alexios. You're telling me that Sparta practices medicine advanced enough to repair birth defects? In many cases, yes. The success rate varies, but even those who cannot be fully healed often survive and contribute to our society in ways their original condition would have prevented. Some develop extraordinary abilities, as if their struggle with death grants them insights unavailable to those born perfect. As they prepared to leave this level, Lysander turned toward a final doorway sealed with a heavy bronze disc covered in warning symbols. There is one more aspect of our system you must understand if you are to truly comprehend what Sparta has become. But I warn you, what lies beyond this door will test your understanding of human nature and the prices civilizations pay for survival. The bronze disc was warm as Lysander rotated it, revealing a complex locking mechanism. As the seals disengaged, the disc swung aside to reveal darkness that seemed to swallow lamplight, and from within came soft whispers in a language Alexios didn't recognize. The secret heart of Sparta's relationship with its children lay beyond that threshold, and crossing it would reveal truths that would challenge everything he believed about the nature of human potential itself. This remarkable discovery about Sparta's true practices shows us how much we still don't know about ancient civilizations. If you're fascinated by these hidden historical truths, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more revelations about the secrets of the past. The tunnel beyond the bronze disc descended in a spiral through passages so narrow that Lysander had to turn sideways, his massive shoulders scraping stone walls. The air grew thinner, charged with energy that made Alexios's skin tingle and his hair stand on end. Their torch flames burned with unusual colors, blues and greens that cast shadows, seeming to move independently of their bodies. What you've seen so far represents the visible aspects of our system, Lysander said, his voice echoing strangely. But the deepest truth, the one that explains why Sparta became what it is, lies in understanding the source of our knowledge. They emerged into a chamber that defied human architecture. The walls were smooth as glass and curved in ways that created optical illusions, making Alexios feel as if he stood inside a soap bubble frozen in time. The ceiling wasn't visible. Looking up revealed only depth extending infinitely, filled with points of light moving in hypnotic patterns. This chamber predates human civilization in Greece by millennia, Lysander explained, setting his torch in a holder designed for that purpose. When the first Spartan settlers discovered this place, they found it exactly as you see it now, complete with inhabitants. At the chamber's center stood a structure that hurt to look at directly, made of the same glass-smooth material as the walls but containing geometric patterns existing in more dimensions than human eyes could process. The structure pulsed with soft internal light, and as Alexios watched, he saw movement inside, shapes that were alive, but definitely not human. "The beings you're about to meet are the source of everything you've witnessed," Lysander said with reverence bordering on worship. "They are why Sparta developed methods for evaluating and enhancing human potential. They are the teachers who showed us that what we call defects are often the first signs of evolutionary advancement." As they approached, portions of the structure became transparent, revealing the inhabitants within. The beings were tall and slender, with elongated skulls and large dark eyes holding depths of intelligence that made Alexios feel like an insect being examined by a philosopher. When they turned their attention to the newcomers, Alexios felt his mind touched by vast alien thoughts. "We greet you, young seeker from the surface lands," came a voice speaking directly into his consciousness. "Your species calls us many names, gods, demons, spirits of earth and air. But we are simply travelers, explorers of paths connecting world to world, consciousness to consciousness, possibility to actuality." The mental voice was accompanied by images flooding Alexios's awareness, visions of worlds beyond counting, civilizations that had risen and fallen before humanity learned to make fire, technologies working by principles no human science had discovered. Underlying all was a sense of benevolent concern, like adults watching children learn to walk. "Long ago, when your ancestors were barely more than animals, we established observation posts on your world to study intelligence development in a young species," the being continued. "This location became special when the people you call Spartans discovered us and proved capable of true communication." Lysander moved to what appeared to be a control surface, his fingers dancing over symbols that glowed in response. The chamber filled with soft music, not sounds exactly, but vibration patterns resonating directly with their bones and blood. As the music played, images appeared in their minds. The early Spartans faced extinction, the being explained through cascading visions. Their harsh environment, constant warfare, and limited resources were slowly destroying their population. But they possessed something rare, courage to accept help from sources their neighbors would call blasphemous. The images showed Sparta centuries ago, a struggling settlement surrounded by enemies, its people desperate for any advantage ensuring survival. The first Spartans to discover this chamber had been searching for water during terrible drought. Instead, they found beings whose knowledge could transform their civilization. "We offered them a choice," the being continued. "We could share techniques for maximizing human potential, for identifying and nurturing capabilities that would normally be lost or suppressed. But the price would be absolute secrecy, because your species as a whole was not ready for such knowledge." More images showed Sparta's hidden system developing gradually, the first crude tests for evaluating newborns, based on principles the aliens taught about genetic expression and developmental potential. The establishment of underground facilities where children could be studied and enhanced. The careful construction of myths hiding the true nature of Spartan practices. The children you call defective often carry genetic variations representing your species' evolutionary future, the being explained. What appears as disability to current human understanding may be the first expression of capabilities that will someday be normal for your descendants. We taught the Spartans to recognize these variations and nurture rather than destroy them. Alexios found his voice, though speaking in such presence felt presumptuous. But some of the children, they're transformed into something beyond human. Indeed, the being replied with apparent approval. For some individuals, natural evolution is too slow. They possess neural complexity to handle accelerated development, to become bridges between what humanity is and what it might become. But such transformations must always be voluntary, chosen with full understanding. The chamber's music shifted to lower, more complex harmonies, and new images appeared. Glimpses of Sparta's future that made Alexios's breath catch. He saw Spartan warriors whose capabilities exceeded anything currently possible, but also Sparta facing challenges requiring every advantage their hidden knowledge could provide. A great trial approaches, the being warned. Forces from beyond your world have noticed humanity's development and judge it a threat to their expansion. Sparta's enhanced individuals, its optimized population, its alliance with us, all will be tested in ways your current understanding cannot encompass. Lysander stepped forward, his scarred face grave. This is why I brought you here, Alexios. Your father was not chosen randomly. The bloodlines that produced you carry the same genetic markers we've learned to recognize in potentially enhanced individuals. You have a choice to make. The revelation's weight settled on Alexios like a physical burden. Everything he had seen led to this moment. He could return to Athens carrying Sparta's secrets, knowing he could never speak of what he witnessed. Or he could remain, undergo testing, possibly join those who had chosen transformation in service to humanity's future. The choice is yours, the being said gently, but know that whatever you decide, you are now part of a larger story. Your species struggle to survive and evolve in a universe far stranger and more dangerous than your current myths imagine. As Alexios stood in that impossible chamber, surrounded by evidence of humanity's hidden potential and alien guidance, he understood that the cruel fate of Spartan babies was not cruelty at all. It was hope. It was preparation. It was a desperate gamble by a civilization that had learned to look beyond the surface of human limitation and see the possibilities beneath. The truth no one had ever told was that Sparta didn't discard its imperfect children. It treasured them as seeds of humanity's evolution. Some were healed through advanced medicine, others found new purposes matching their unique capabilities, and a rare few were offered the chance to transcend human limitations entirely through alien technology. In one of history's most closely guarded secrets, the weak Spartan babies were actually the strong ones, carriers of humanity's genetic future, carefully preserved and cultivated by a civilization that understood what others could not. That evolution often disguises itself as imperfection, and that the children others would abandon might be the ones destined to save the species. Standing before beings from beyond the stars, Alexios realized he held in his hands not just Sparta's secret, but possibly the key to humanity's survival in a universe far more complex and dangerous than anyone imagined. The next choice would determine not just his fate, but possibly the future of human civilization itself. And in the depths beneath Sparta, surrounded by wonders that challenged every assumption about human potential, he prepared to make the most important decision in the history of his species, understanding finally that some secrets are worth keeping, no matter the cost. If you've stayed with us through this incredible journey of discovery, you've learned truths about ancient Sparta that have been hidden for millennia. The real story behind their treatment of weak babies reveals a sophistication and compassion that history never recorded. Like and subscribe to join others seeking the hidden knowledge that shapes our understanding of human history and potential. What other secrets from the ancient world are waiting to be uncovered? Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know what historical mysteries you'd like us to explore next.